enslaved Africans. In the 1720s, at a spot of land now eroded by the river, stood the barracks where enslaved Africans from the Senegal, Gambia region were held before being ferried across the river to the slave auctions. Early Algiers Point was also the home of the slaughterhouse and the powder magazine for New Orleans. It made me think about the underrepresentation of memorials about the institution of slavery in America.
That one there is sharp.
Let me grab my glove.
I had been to New Orleans, and we went to Algiers Point. There was this crazy music playing, and I thought it was coming from a church or something. And I was just sort of like doing this. And I was like, what is that? You know, like it was just kind of like in the air, and I couldn't place. It was kind of carnivalesque, but I couldn't place it. So then I researched it.
Right.
And I found out it was a steam Calliope on the riverboat Natchez. My Calliope and its container are the Katastwóf Karavan.
Listening from Algiers Point, listening to the Calliope on the Natchez, what were you hearing in those songs that they chose?
It was kind of happy songs. When I heard it, I couldn't quite place the tunes, but I think they were kind of like old-timey, good time songs.
Right.
You know?
They have a code in them that always makes people feel a certain way, like a password for something else.
That kind of wistfulness that, like, some white Southerners would regard slavery or those days, those bygone days. It's a wistfulness not just for the control or the power, but for the intimacy.
Wow.
Of the intimacy of what those enslaved people's bodies meant to theirs. You know, mind, body, soul. And that's something like that it's like so kind of unsavory, you can't even quite speak it. That's what those songs do for me in a way.
Yeah. And thinking about the way that you are also touching the industrial, you know, with how slavery works, right? Like it's an industry that they're making a machine despite that they are bodies.
Yeah. I wanted to really create this paradoxical space where the kind of ingenuity of American manufacturing, the same genius that brought us chattel slavery, could sort of then become the mechanics through which those voices that were suppressed reemerge for all time. It is really a moment of truth, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Oh my God. Everything was outside of my comfort zone. Every single element of it, except in a way the framing of the Calliope, because it's just the visual kind of hook in a way. It's pretty substantial. It has to be an active, vital thing, not just like a stationary monster, because that would sort of defeat the purpose of a moving monument.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have.
Oh, there we go. Is that Jason playing? Or
That's Jason abusing it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But Jason was really freaked out because, of course, he hits a note and then it comes out like, "Wah!" And he's just used to hitting the keys and something reasonable happens. So that was the first time we saw the Calliope. This is the first time we're seeing the Calliope in its wagon.
I just was anxious to meet this instrument that I'd only heard once in my life. So I never forgot what that sound makes the body feel. Because it's unsettling, even though it's trying to play the most settling music. The Calliope also sounds like someone whistling.
Yeah.
You know, so it seems like, you know, like,
So good.
like that someone whistles this, you know, as a way, you know, because that's also the way music is used for people who are captive.
Yeah.
That summoning, that sending out of a signal, is that it sends out a signal, whether it's a distress signal or like a signal to come, like let's celebrate together. So here would be a moment where we would bring something that would honor kind of like the millions of ancestors in a way that we aren't sure what we're about to touch.
Exactly. That was my feeling going, you know, into Algiers with it. As a stationary object, it always needs to be activated. When you have monuments or commemorative things that just sort of exist, they sit there and they disappear. The Confederate monuments, these monuments that have been around for 100 years, commemorating like Robert E. Lee, there's something strange that happens where it just sits there and it sort of becomes an unacknowledged presence. And there's something about that too, where like I feel like the Calliope kind of has to like be in a place but not be forgotten. I don't feel like it's destined for a specific home. What is unique to Algiers was that it was the point for Africans arriving to be sold into slavery. There are many places like that in the Americas, and I think that it's worthwhile to explore those places. The object of the Calliope was quite small until you played it, but I was wondering what it was like for you to play it on the Mississippi.
I don't think I'd ever felt so much pressure. And also that I was responsible for releasing pressure at every key that I would play.
But when you played it, all of that anxiety and the fear and the sort of pain, that feeling went away. Because there's something like voice-like about those pipes. And you made it cry out.
Right.
And you know, you just, it's like, oh, you feel it going
Right.
right across you.